So here we go. Resident Evil 2. Well, the Resident Evil 2 remake. Here we see it on the PlayStation 4. Is it worth buying cheap? And of course, it is absolutely worth buying cheap. So Resident Evil, gosh, Resident Evil 2. Back in the day, I had an N64. Not a PlayStation 1, because you probably remember, there was the whole Mega Drive versus Super Nintendo kind of rivalry, and you could probably say the Super Nintendo probably came out on top, and then the sequel to the Super Nintendo was the N64, but you also had the PlayStation 1 came out around about the same time, and the big difference between the two was that the N64 still used cartridges, whereas the PlayStation used discs. And the beauty of that is that you could have these amazing cutscenes, these films in video games, which you'd never really had before, because there simply wasn't the memory capacity on the chips in the cartridges to hold all that data. So now you had all these CGI cutscenes, and that was really what the PlayStation was famous for. And Resident Evil, when it came out, or Resident Evil 2, when it came out on the PlayStation, everybody was like, "Oh wow, this is absolutely amazing," because you had these beautiful pre-rendered CGI cutscenes. Obviously, they weren't actually played. The game wasn't rendering them; it was just playing them back as a cutscene. But they looked fantastic, and the way that Capcom had produced the game as well, where again the backgrounds in the game were pre-rendered CGI backgrounds, a much higher quality than the 3D characters that were wandering around, made the game look really good, and it had amazing atmosphere. But again, because I was on N64, it was a bit like, yeah, whatever. They're only cutscenes, aren't they? But eventually they squished up all those cutscenes and all that data, and they got them on an N64 cartridge. And I remember buying it, and it was horrendously expensive. It was one of the most expensive cartridges you could buy. I think, along with that, and like Street Fighter 2 when it first came out, or the Star Fox ones that had the extra chips in. But then after I played Resident Evil 2, the original, it became one of my favourite games. And then when I had the PlayStation 2, because that came out, I then obviously had Resident Evil Code Veronica, which was the first kind of 3D-ish one, where instead of having fixed isometric views, you were looking round. It was more of a 3D-ish game. But then I went back and played like Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, which they've just released as well. But anyway, back to Resident Evil 2. What Capcom have done is they've completely remade the game. As you can see, now it's a 3D game. But the spirit and the atmosphere of the original game is there, if not in an even stronger form. The game looks absolutely stunning. I mean, you remember I've done plenty of videos about Resident Evil 7, and I thought that was a fantastic game. Really loved that. First person, played it in PSVR for a bit, and then played it in the normal mode. Looked beautiful, amazing story, very, very scary. And Resident Evil 2 is that as well. And in fact, it's made me hungry to play some more Resident Evil games. So definitely the Resident Evil 3 remake. Looking forward to Resident Evil 8 Village, which is coming out on new consoles next year, I guess now it will be. And I may even go back and have another crack at Resident Evil 4, 5 and 6. Maybe. I've tried Resident Evil 4 a few times, but it's got these terrible tank controls like the original Resident Evil 2 did, which means it makes it very, very difficult to control, very, very frustrating. But Resident Evil 2, the remake, it ticks all those boxes. A lot of the puzzles that you kind of solve, well, a lot of them are fetch quests, aren't they? Go and find this crank, go and find this key. They're all exactly the same as they were in the original one. But it's all in this new environment, and it is absolutely fantastic. I'd recommend you play it on easy, like I am here, because if you play it on easy, you get lots of ammunition. Not loads, but you get enough where you're probably not going to run out of handgun ammo or shotgun ammo. And just soak in this amazing environment as you walk around. In this case, I'm still in the police station in Raccoon City, and then after at the end of this, I unlock the passageway that takes us below the police station into the rest of it. And you know, Capcom with the Resident Evil series, they really showed us, you know, what really good zombie games could be like in terms of atmosphere. But I really enjoy the puzzles of Resident Evil as well. You know, they're simple puzzles. They make you revisit the same areas of the game again and again. You know, you're running backwards and forwards, finding things, opening up new rooms, running back, running out of inventory space, having to use your storage, saving the game. And then and what that does is as well is it slowly builds up the idea, because you know after you've run through a corridor a couple of times, eventually there's going to be another zombie or another monster that jumps out on you, that jumps out at you, and it doesn't, But when it does, you always jump and you're like, whoa, what on earth? What on earth was that all about? There's loads of secrets and loads of passageways, loads of things to unlock, loads of books to read, loads of environmental storytelling as well. As you're walking around, you can kind of see, you know, what's happened with the people who were fighting to stay alive in this particular in this particular police station. And there'll be loads of replayability as well, because it's just a fantastic experience. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to let the gameplay run right through to the end. So you can see me wandering around the police station, so you can play it big screen. You can, you know, you can hear the noise that's going on. And what I'm doing now is I'm just going around collecting the last of the 3 medallions you need to put into the statue, so then I can escape underneath the police station to the next part of the game. But thoroughly enjoy this. Resident Evil 2 Remake, absolutely worth buying cheap. Definitely pick it up. You will enjoy it, even if you've never played one of the Resident Evil games before. Remember, these aren't zombie shooter games, although you do shoot zombies. They're more of an experience, you know. It's almost like you're playing a film, kind of thing, with these puzzles thrown in. But it's all about soaking up that experience, soaking up that feeling, and enjoying being part of the Resident Evil universe. Anyway, that's enough from me. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon.
So it goes underground. Huh. That's it. That's our way out. Lieutenant Branna! Marvin! It's time to go. Hey, Marvin. We need to get you to a hospital right now.
No, save yourself.
Come on, I've got you.
No!
Look, we can still make it out of here together. Just can...
It's too late. I tried, Leon. But I couldn't stop it. We can't let this thing spread. It's on you now. Just go.
I understand. I won't let you down, Marvin.